All right, let's just jump right into this. Think about the hardworking middle-class folks we all know. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it's you. People putting in 40 hours a week, year after year, just grinding to provide for their families. But here is the kicker. When retirement finally rolls around, they are still sweating over grocery bills and stressing over utility costs. Why? Why doesn't earning a decent, respectable salary for decades actually translate into lasting wealth? Why do so many people just stay completely stuck? Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out in this explainer today. I want you to think of me as your honest elder brother for a bit. We're going to break down the systemic mistakes, the daily habits, and the mindset traps that keep the middle class locked in for generations. And look, we aren't here to point fingers or place blame. We are here to break this cycle completely.
So let's get real for a second here. Why do so many of us stay trapped paycheck to paycheck? I mean, really think about that deeply stressful feeling. You know the one, waiting anxiously for the 30th of the month just so you can finally get paid. And then bam, the first of the month hits. Auto debits, rent, EMIs, they just drain your account instantly. Suddenly you're left with pennies, staring down the rest of the month with this paralyzing fear that just one medical emergency or a random car repair could completely bankrupt you. Listen, if you're experiencing this, you are absolutely not alone. It's a systemic trap, and it creates this total lack of financial freedom. It is literally exhausting. It's like you're forced to run at top speed on a treadmill, day in and day out, just to stay in the exact same place.
And you know why this happens to so many of us? It's because of something called the default life template. Think about your childhood. We spend 15 plus years in school, right? We learn that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, we figure out complex calculus, we memorize random dates in history. But did anyone ever actually sit us down and teach us how compound interest works? No way. Nobody taught us about inflation or how to navigate taxes or the absolute danger of consumer debt. So without any real financial education, what do? We just blindly follow the crowd. You study, you land a job, you immediately sign up for an EMI for a brand new car, and you just work until you drop. It's an automated, highly dangerous cycle.
Because of that default template, we are forced right into a survival mindset. You basically end up just playing defense with your money all the time. When your whole financial reality revolves around your basic schooling and then just saving whatever tiny amount is left over after paying all your EMIs, you are literally merely surviving. Now, wealth mindset, that is completely different. That's playing offense. It requires active financial awareness. It means actually understanding asset allocation, figuring out how to leverage investments, and knowing how to take calculated risks. But without that basic money education early on, generations of families just stay trapped in that defensive, survival mode, completely unaware that another, much better way even exists.
Okay, let's move into Section 1, the wealth killers, specifically saving, inflation, and early debt. Let's dive in.
So growing up, we're all taught that saving money is the ultimate financial safety net, right? Put your money in the bank and you're good. But in reality, saving alone is a massive trap. And it's all because of a silent thief called inflation. Let's do the math on this really quickly. If average inflation is running at around, let's say, 6% annually, and your hard-earned money is just sitting there in a standard savings account earning maybe 2%, you are literally losing 4% of your wealth's purchasing power every single year. It's completely invisible, but is a deadly mathematical certainty. Just look around. Look at the skyrocketing costs of medical procedures, or getting a university degree, or just buying a basic home today compared to 10 years ago. If your money isn't growing faster than inflation, you're actively getting poorer while sitting there thinking you're playing it safe.
And because of that harsh inflation reality, avoiding all financial risk is actually one of the most mathematically dangerous things you can possibly do. Now hold on, I am absolutely not telling you to go out and gamble your life savings on volatile meme coins or start day trading options. That is entirely reckless. What I am talking about is demystifying the stock market. I'm talking about intelligent, calculated risks, like investing consistently in broad market index funds. Historically, these funds have outpaced inflation over long periods because they literally represent the collective growth of the top businesses in the economy. If you just hide your money under a mattress because you're scared, inflation is simply going to eat your savings alive. It's a guaranteed loss.
All right, let's talk about the early debt trap. It's time for some serious tough love here. So many young earners get that very first paycheck, feel on top of the world, and instantly take out a massive loan for a depreciating asset. Take a flashy car, for instance. It loses 20% of its value the absolute second you drive it off the lot. Poof, gone. Now, imagine if, instead of doing that, you took that exact same monthly EMI amount and invested it into an asset column that actually paid you back over time. Taking on consumer debt in your early 20s for expensive smartphones and sports bikes, it completely destroys your future freedom. It essentially locks you into a job you might absolutely hate just to pay for things you don't even need, purely to impress strangers on the internet.
Just think about how a young earner's monthly salary gets instantly carved up the second it hits their bank account. Okay, rent is a necessity, sure, we all need a place to live. But then there's the car EMI, and then the absolute worst offender of them all, the credit card minimum payment trap. Let's dive deep into this one because it's brutal. Credit cards routinely charge insane annual percentage rates. We're talking 30 to 40%. So when you swipe a card for a lifestyle upgrade and you only pay that minimum balance due each month, that interest compounds against you violently. You literally end up paying for a quick weekend trip or a fancy dinner out for the next 5 years. One bad financial habit early on just snowballs into a permanent roadblock to wealth.
Here's another massive wealth killer: relying 100% on a single source of income. If your entire financial existence depends on just one corporate job, you are incredibly vulnerable. Corporate layoffs happen all the time. Market downturns happen. If that one salary randomly stops tomorrow, you are instantly thrown into a catastrophic crisis. You have to build a second stream of income. And look, this doesn't mean you have to quit your stable 9-to-5 to go build some insanely risky tech startup. It just means maybe taking up some freelance consulting in your current industry on the weekends. It means creating digital products, starting a highly manageable side hustle, or systematically building a portfolio of dividend-paying stocks. You have to future-proof yourself by making absolutely sure your money is coming from more than one place.
Moving right along to Section 2, the silent saboteurs. We're looking at lacking safety nets and lifestyle inflation.
One of the most dangerous saboteurs out there is walking into life with zero financial armor. Middle-class families are incredibly vulnerable to sudden financial shocks, yet so many people completely ignore health insurance and emergency funds until a disaster actually strikes. And let's be real, healthcare costs today are simply staggering. A single unexpected surgery or a sudden illness can wipe out 10 years of your hard-earned savings in just a matter of weeks. It's terrifying. You absolutely must build your armor before you even start focusing on wealth creation. Get comprehensive health insurance for yourself and your dependents. Build a highly liquid emergency fund that covers at least 6 months of your living expenses. Because that emergency fund, it doesn't just protect you from a disaster, it gives you the immense psychological peace of mind you need to actually make bold, confident career decisions.
And this brings us right to a massive trap that catches almost everyone: lifestyle inflation. Let's say you finally get that 20% promotion you have literally been working years for. Amazing, right? But what usually happens next? Immediately, you upgrade your apartment to a much fancier neighborhood. You finance a luxury car. You start eating out at way more expensive restaurants. Your income went up, but your expenses went up by the exact same amount. So your net wealth, it stayed exactly the same. You were just running way faster and sweating a whole lot more on that exact same treadmill. A true wealth mindset dictates that when your income goes up, your standard of living stays the same for a while, and your investments go up. That is how you actually escape the cycle.
Another really quiet saboteur is paralyzing insecurity. The fear of failure is exactly what keeps middle-class families from switching to higher-paying careers or taking the time to learn new high-income skills or starting a carefully planned business. But you know what? This is exactly where having that emergency fund we just talked about totally changes the game. Having that cash buffer allows you to take a calculated risk. And a calculated risk means you've done the research, you have a solid financial backup in the bank, and you take a measured leap to grow your income. Paralyzing fear, on the other hand, just ensures you stay exactly where you are, capped by your current constraints literally forever.
So, why do we constantly fall into so many of these spending traps? Honestly, it's toxic comparison culture. We face this immense social pressure to constantly prove to our relatives and our neighbors that we are settled. We see young people taking on crushing 20-year mortgages for a massive 4-bedroom house they don't even need, purely because society expects them to buy property by the time they hit 30. Or they're spending an absolute fortune on a big, fat, extravagant wedding just to match what some peer did on Instagram. Long-term financial security gets completely thrown out the window just to win a short-term, totally exhausting social status game. It's a trap, guys.
All right, let's get to the good part. Section 3, the escape plan, the 20s roadmap.
Okay, if you are young, seriously, grab a pen right now. This is your master blueprint, and we've broken it down into 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is defense. Step 1, actively learn the financial basics yourself, because as we established, traditional schools simply will not do it for you. Step 2, aggressively avoid bad consumer debt. Say a hard, flat no to financing a phone you can't just buy in cash. Step 3 and 5, build your financial armor. Get that 6-month emergency fund and secure health insurance immediately so a medical crisis doesn't completely bankrupt your family. Okay, phase 2 is offense. Step 4, start investing early. Your 20s are literally a superpower because of compound interest.
Even investing a tiny amount consistently can grow into millions over 3 decades. Steps 6 and 7, continuously upskill and build those multiple income streams so you aren't reliant on just one boss. Step 8, focus your money on buying assets that actually pay you rather than status symbols that constantly drain you. And finally, phase 3 is mindset. Steps 9 and 10, build unshakable financial discipline and train yourself to think in decades, not days. If you can master these 10 steps in your 20s, you practically guarantee you will escape the middle-class trap.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, Building True Financial Freedom.
We have to truly understand a fundamental truth here. Wealth is built quietly, while fake wealth is displayed loudly. You absolutely must learn the power of delayed gratification. Social media? It's a complete illusion. The exhausting act of trying to look rich all the time, buying the designer clothes, taking out EMIs to fund luxury cars, putting insanely expensive international vacations on a high-interest credit card, that is all fake wealth. True wealth is the quiet, deeply satisfying peace of mind of knowing you are absolutely financially secure. It's having the actual freedom to walk away from a toxic job without feeling blind panic. We have to stop worrying about looking rich to strangers and start focusing on actually becoming wealthy.
Ultimately, being born into the middle class is absolutely not a problem. In fact, it gives you a tremendous work ethic and a really solid foundation for life. But staying financially unaware, now that is the real problem. That is exactly what traps generations in a cycle of stress. Building lasting wealth is rarely about getting lucky, and it is almost never created overnight. It's built slowly. It's built methodically, through patience, discipline, making smart decisions day after day, and forcefully rejecting that default template society hands you. Taking the very first small step today, whether that's opening your first investment account or simply sitting down and tracking your daily expenses, that changes your entire trajectory.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final, critical choice. Because the goal of all of this information isn't so you can look rich for a fleeting social media post. The goal is to build genuine freedom, unshakable security, and a radically better future for yourself and your family. I challenge you to take immediate control of your financial destiny starting right now. Ask yourself honestly, are you building a future of freedom, or are you just trying to look rich today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and stay focused.